Hey, welcome back to another episode of Witches of the Moon. My name is Dia, aka OrioOasis.com, and if you didn't already know, this week we are talking about haunted objects. First of all, I hope you can hear me because I do not feel like yelling. My voice is a little bit scratchy, and as usual, forgive me for any noise in the background. I always have my kids with me, my dogs with me, so you never know what sounds might pop up. Um, so, haunted objects, right? Uh, well, first of all, there are many ways, well, not too many ways, a couple of ways that an object can become haunted. So, and there's also different types of haunted objects. Almost any object, um, almost any object can become haunted, from jewelry to a fan to a doll to a jewelry box. I don't know why I said jewelry box when I said jewelry, to a suitcase, to an old wallet, to a car. There's many different things that can become haunted. Now, the different ways are, well, I will say this. Some things that I would consider a haunted object, other people may not consider a haunted object. Like if, how do I want to say it? Basically, everything has an energy print. So anything that you use, anything that you have touched, anything that you have used, you put your energy print on it. Now, depending on how many times you touched it or used it or held it, depends on how heavy your energy print is on there. So, with that being said, to me, almost everything is haunted. That's my definition of a haunted object. It's just energy print. Now, there are other things as far as like energy prints. To me, that's one type of haunting, and I'll explain that in a minute. And I know it seems like I'm going all over the place. I'm getting my thoughts together as I'm talking on this subject. So, also, there's other haunted objects where it may be a spirit connected to it. Now, for me, a spirit doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who has lived a lifetime or had a physical body. It's just the energy of another world. A spirit or entity can be connected to certain objects too. Now, they can get connected to objects, either something about that object attracted them, or someone could have called that spirit into that object, and then once that person was done with that spirit, they never loosed the spirit from the object, so the spirit is still connected to the object, and things like that. And then another way is an object from a ghost, someone who has lived here, and this was something they put a heavy imprint on, and they passed on, and they still connected to the object. Or it could be a situation where the ghost has passed on and the ghost doesn't know that they're now on the other side. That happens too. So there's a couple of different ways that an object can be haunted. Now, with haunted objects, now with the first one, when it's just an energy print, right? Something you've used. Did y'all hear that? Anyway, something that y'all use, and something that someone's using, it's just their energy on it. Something like that is a little bit easier to cleanse. You just take a little sage, Florida water, holy water. You could take, I like smudging with rosemary better. I like smudging with rosemary other than sage, but with smudging with rosemary is kind of iffy when you're dealing with spiritual energies, because that can sometimes call them in as opposed to push them away. You can also, frankincense and myrrh is a good one to smudge with. Basically, spiritually clean. You can. Okay, baby, I'll be there in a second. You gotta wait a minute, okay? Thank you. Kids. So, there's that. What was I saying? See what I mean? Can you hear that? Now they playing with the dog. Anyway, so there's different ways to cleanse that. Those are easier to clean, and those give you less of a problem. With those type of haunted objects, because to me that's still connected to someone else's energy, so to me that's a haunted object. It's easier to clean their energy off of. You can also, set smoky quartz around it, and that'll absorb their energy, and it'll take away. Once it absorbs the energy, then you would just either ground that smoky quartz or you get rid of the smoky quartz. I prefer grounding the smoky quartz and doing a ceremony and everything to release to release the energy back into the universe so it could dissipate and go back into the universe and come back as something else. Or if that person, has passed away or whatever, it can go back to that person. So when they come back, they can come back a little bit more whole and have a little bit more energy for the next lifetime that they want to do. Or go back to whoever originally owned it, send the energy back to them so they could just get a little more for whatever they're still trying to do in the life that they're living. With that being said, when you're going towards a haunted object that is connected to a spirit, or a spirit is imbued in, that's a whole different story, especially when someone has trapped this spirit in there. Now, a lot of times when the spirit has been trapped into the object and that owner of the object has left the object but has not loosed the spirit from the object, they're the ones that are a little bit more agitated. They're a little bit aggressive. One, because they were there to do a job and there's no reason for them to be there anymore. And then two, sometimes they grow attached not only to the object but to the owner of the object, and now that owner has went somewhere else. And also with them in particular, I find that they will attach to a new person very quickly as well. So those are where you get situations where you have an object, like a vase or something, and you go to get rid of the vase, and then you turn around and the vase is right back in the same place where you're like, I know I just threw you away. Or I know I just gave you away to somebody, and somehow it gets right back into your home. I actually had that happen with a book with a friend. I don't know how, I don't know why, and I didn't sense any spirit on the book, but I've used the book so much that I let a friend have the book. I was like, I've used this book so much, I know by heart. Go ahead, I hope the book does good for you. Gave it to this friend. Lied to you not. Within 2 weeks, this book was back in my home, and my friend could not find the book. And I was like, she asked me, I was like, I gave it to you. I don't know where this book is at. And I'm looking on my bookshelf for a different book, and that book is right back in the same place it's always at. How it got there, I don't know. Gave the book back to the friend. The book is right back in here in the bookshelf. So apparently it's too much of my energy on that, and I'm just going to have to keep that book. But saying entities can get connected to other people, and this is how you can find things, especially when it comes to like dolls and children, where you might, it's time for them to get rid of that doll, and no matter what you try to get rid of that doll, the doll's right back. Things like that. Now, getting rid of spirits connected to those things, that's when it gets a little bit harder, because you got to figure out how they connected this spirit to this particular object, and hopefully it wasn't done with blood magic, because if it was done with blood magic, it's going to need to be released with blood magic. Those things get tricky. This is why I'm very careful about, even though I love going to thrift places and things like that, I am very careful about buying certain things, because releasing those entities is not hard, and they're not, it's not hard, it's hard, and it's not always, it's complicated. I wouldn't say it's hard. I don't believe it's complicated, it's complex, and it's not always easy to get rid of that stuff. So then the other one is the ghost ones. Now, with haunted objects and ghosts, a lot of times, these things show up most of the time. They don't really, when it comes to someone who has passed over and they're still connected to a certain object, what I find is they bother more so the people who are not meant to get that trinket. They're not meant to get their heirloom. That's the word I'm looking for. The people who are not meant to get their heirloom, that's when they start acting up with the object and things start going wrong. Like, I had a situation where my great-grandmother passed away. And, well, before she passed away, my great-grandfather passed away. And in his will, he left the car to a different family member. Of course, my great-grandma still allowed the car, went to her. So when she passed away, the car was supposed to go to somebody else. Long story short, that person didn't get the car. Somebody else got the car, and that car went crazy. Like, this car ran very smooth. There was no issues with the car whatsoever. Everything came checked up on it. But as soon as this, like, we was using the car. In between the fighting back and forth for them, who was going to get the car, no problem. As soon as this person gets the car, 2 flats on the highway. 2 flats on a highway. One on each side. Okay. Then they go to start the car, muffler falls off. Like all these different things started just the car just wasn't meant for them to have. So when they decided, they figured it was an old car, the car is breaking down, it's not worth it, boom, boom, whatever. Now they don't want the car. They give the car to the other person, to the person who's supposed to have the car. Everything's fine. No problem. So things like that happen, when it comes to, and I've seen it, that's just one of the things that's happened in my family. Other things happen too. I had my great-grandmother's bedroom set. No problem with it. I decided to get a new bedroom set, and I gave it to someone else in the family. Bedroom set falls apart. Just falls apart. She wasn't meant to have it. And things like that happen all the time with trinkets and things like that when it comes to with ghosts. Now, disconnecting them from a family heirloom, I would say that if you know it's going to stay in the family, I would actually leave the connection. Long as the person on the other side know that they're no longer alive and that they have passed over, I will leave the connection, because that connection, it'll guide that heirloom to who was supposed to go to generation. And eventually, if it's like a ring or like a blanket, if it lasts long enough, when the person decides to reincarnate, it may actually come right back to them. And it's just like a weird feeling when something it's like a weird connection where you've had this in other lifetimes. It'll find their way back to them. And also, even if it goes out the families, oddly enough, certain things that you've had in other lifetimes will find their way back to you. With that being said, can you get rid of the connection? Yes, you can get rid of the connection. I don't suggest doing it if the alien's going to stay in the family, but you can get rid of the connection. It's not a problem. Hold on for 1 second. Okay. So, as I was saying with that, they can, how to get rid of the connection with that one. Okay, so with that, I went and suggest saging, because they'll just really agitate them. They'll go away for a little bit, but they'll come right back. But with that, you can do like a slight exorcist. You can kind of trap that energy using certain things, but I would suggest if you're going to trap the energy, go somewhere where you can release the energy, but make sure it's truly released into the other world, because they can find their way back to the object. You can perform ceremonies. You can do a guiding over where you make sure that they've taken all the energy with them and guide them over and things like that. So that's really my big things on haunted objects. Can they be dangerous? Depending on the object. If the haunted object is a knife, and yeah, it can be dangerous. But for the most part, like, there are stories out there, but for the most part, they're not too many. It's always the worst stories that get known the most. But when you realize it's like it's the same story, so it's not really like that many stories out there. People getting truly hurt. I would say what it does with haunted objects, when you're getting objects that are if anything, when you get objects, always start off, with the basic cleanse, sage, Florida water, clearing, all that other stuff. I will also check out before you get an object. Speaking of that, there's when people give you gifts, and I have to speak on this only because you never know who is in this life and who's not. There's a long time I've been in this life and I didn't tell nobody, but with that saying, if I could be in this life and no one know, there's other people that could be in life and no one knows. This life has really been hush hush for so long that there's some people who still believe it should be hush hush and no one should know. And I respect that. There's some things that I do that I'm going to take to the grave with me. No one's going to know. I'm not even going to pass that down to my children. They have to find theirs on certain things. They're going to have to find their own way, and that's just a part of life. But in saying that, when you should be able to do energy scan ain't the best word for it, but you should be able to do an energy scan on certain things. So if someone's handy stuff, try to do an energy scan on it. Try to see if you could fill out what's connected to them. So you know how they say don't look a gift horse in the mouth? You never want to look a gift horse in the mouth because you might miss the purpose of the gift. Like, pay attention to when people are giving you stuff, and pay attention to how you feel when that thing is around you. I don't want to scare you, because it may be just a blessing, but just because it's always an energy print on something, and for those in life, they know how to put a little more of that energy print on something. And even though it may not be for your bad, it may be for your good, if it's just not for you, you know what I mean? If that's not what you're into, then you should be at least be sensitive enough to sense the stuff, so you know when to say take something and when you know not to take a gift. But that's pretty much it. That's basically my thoughts on haunted objects and things like that. So I'm going to let y'all go, and I'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to stay blessed, be a blessing. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe if you have not. Don't forget to watch everybody's videos, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.